Have you ever met someone who ruined their own life because they couldn't manage their emotions? Maybe they lost their job, destroyed a meaningful relationship, or made an irreversible choice in a moment of anger or despair. Sadly, this happens more often than we think. People who ignore the power of mastering their feelings often end up empty, frustrated, and frequently isolated. Now imagine the opposite. Having complete control over yourself, staying calm while everyone around you loses their mind, acting with wisdom instead of reacting impulsively, being the master of your mind rather than a slave to your emotions. My name is Adriano, and I have been passionate about Stoic philosophy for over 10 years. I can assure you, few things have changed my life as much as this ancient wisdom. Stoicism is not just an old, pretty theory. It's a daily practice, a real tool to face chaos, pain, stress, and anxiety in the modern world. In this video, I will show you how mastering your emotions is possible, necessary, and much simpler than you imagine. How many times have you exploded with anger, sent a message you regretted, said things you didn't mean, or made decisions just to get revenge? If that has happened to you, know that you are not alone. Recent studies reveal that emotional loss of control is directly linked to impulsive decisions affecting relationships and careers. According to research from Harvard University, over 70% of people admitted to making important decisions during strong emotional moments and regretting them afterward. Stoicism, for over 2,000 years, has warned us about this. Seneca said, "Anger, a brief madness." That is exactly what happens. When emotions take control, you are no longer yourself. It's as if another version of you drives, a blind, impulsive, and short-sighted version. And the saddest part? Many live their entire lives like this, prisoners of themselves. Mastering emotions is not about becoming a robot without feelings. It's about learning to steer your inner world before it destroys your outer world. Take a real example. Will Smith, an award-winning actor with an impeccable career, had it all crumble in a single moment of lost control at the Oscars. A single action driven by uncontrolled emotion cost him contracts, trust, and respect from others. This is not about judging, but observing. A moment without self-control can erase decades of hard work. You swallowed your tears, held on to grudges, pretended everything was fine just to avoid looking weak. Think about how many times you almost broke inside just to appear strong on the outside. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes what it feeds on." If your soul feeds on resentment, anger, or wounded pride, it gradually falls ill. Without realizing, you start sabotaging your own days and undermining your well-being. One wise example is Nelson Mandela, who was imprisoned unjustly for 27 years. He suffered torture and humiliation but chose reconciliation over revenge when released. He united a nation and showed true power lies not in reaction, but in controlling one's own response. This self-control can be trained through small daily habits. Breathe before replying to criticism. Sleep well before making big decisions, and question yourself before anger takes over. What is in my control now? As Epictetus taught, it is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. From early childhood, we are taught that we must control everything, our emotions, reactions, and how others perceive us. We hear phrases like "don't cry," "don't feel that way," or "do this to please," disconnecting us from our true selves. We grow up trying to shape the world to our will, but this often leads to disappointment and failure. The difference between what we can and cannot control is the boundary between a peaceful mind and a troubled one. Take Britney Spears as an example. For years, she tried to maintain a flawless image while facing immense pressure and family control. Her public breakdown revealed the heavy toll of attempting to control things completely beyond her reach. In contrast, Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, made an inner choice to preserve his dignity. He said everything could be taken from a man except one thing: the freedom to choose his attitude in any circumstance. That is pure Stoicism. Even in the worst conditions, Frankl controlled his mind, beliefs, and his interpretation of the world. Applying this daily is freeing. Stuck in traffic, someone cuts you off. You cannot control that, but you can control your reaction. If your boss is unfair, the weather changes, or politics are chaotic, these are outside your control. But how you respond is up to you. Research by the American Psychological Association shows that people with a strong internal locus of control achieve goals more often and recover faster from trauma. They focus on what they can do instead of worrying about external factors, which leads to greater resilience and success. Stoicism said this centuries ago, and science has now confirmed it. Strength comes from focusing on what depends on you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Many people are trapped in the urge to control every story and change others, which only leads to pain and suffering. Learning to distinguish what is within your power and what is not is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. This ability will save you energy, tears, conflicts, and restless nights. It makes you calmer, more focused, and above all, freer. Because when you release what you cannot control, you create space to act excellently in what truly lies in your hands and start transforming your life deeply. How many times have you heard or said, "I am just like this, I can't control it"? Whether it is anger, jealousy, impulsiveness, or anxiety, it seems as if emotions have more power than our own will. But is that really true? Stoicism teaches us that it is not the emotion that destroys us, but the way we respond to it. Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they are difficult." It is not about eliminating emotions, that would be inhuman, but training the mind so emotions do not govern us. And contrary to what many believe, this is a skill that can and should be developed. Most people never learned how to deal with their own anger, pain, or frustration. We grew up hearing that men don't cry, women are more sensitive, and that we must swallow our tears. But no one taught us to face what we feel, understand the root of emotion, and consciously choose how to respond. As a result, the world is filled with impulsive reactions, broken relationships, poor decisions, and lost opportunities. A clear example is Kanye West's public breakdown, whose talent was not enough to hold up against emotional instability. External success might last for a while, but without self-control, everything can collapse in a matter of days. On the other hand, actor Keanu Reeves, despite suffering great losses, remains calm, humble, and kind to everyone around him. He does not let his pain define him, but carries his scars with dignity and silence. This is Stoicism in action. Even without citing ancient philosophers, his attitude reflects timeless wisdom that modern science also confirms. A study published in the journal Emotion by the American Psychological Association revealed that individuals with stronger emotional regulation skills experience lower anxiety levels, are more resilient to stress, and develop healthier interpersonal relationships. But how is this skill developed? Through practice, daily training, and conscious effort, precisely what Stoicism advocates. In today's world, where quick responses are demanded and we are constantly bombarded by notifications, pressures, comparisons, and unrealistic expectations, emotional mastery is not just an advantage, it is essential. When someone provokes you, when criticism hits you, or when bad news arrives, how do you react? Do you explode, stay silent and swallow it, or observe your feelings, recognize them, and respond wisely? Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not caused by the thing itself but by your judgment of it, and you have the power to revoke that at any time." This quote sums it up. Emotions may come, but how you handle them is your choice, and this choice shapes your life. Training this ability begins with a pause. A simple, "Wait, let me understand what I am feeling," can completely change the course of an argument, a decision, or a day. With practice, the mind learns it doesn't have to react impulsively. It can breathe, assess, and calmly choose without shouting or hurting to defend itself. True strength lies in silence, calm reflection, and control. When you master your emotions, you become nearly invincible. No one can hold power over you anymore. Insults, fear, or praise cannot manipulate, paralyze, or buy you. You live from a firm and stable center, and that is where true freedom begins. How many times have you rehearsed an important conversation in your head but froze when it was time to speak? How many chances have you missed because you thought you weren't ready, good enough, or were afraid to fail? The inner voice that doubts, judges, and weakens you is more common than you think. Most battles we lose in life never actually happen. They happen first inside our minds. Epictetus said, "It's not events themselves that disturb people, but their opinions about them." In other words, before something outside shakes you, you've already been destroyed within. The root lies in self-image. How you see yourself directly shapes how you face life's challenges. If you believe you don't deserve it, aren't capable, or aren't strong enough, you will act accordingly, even if the world is offering you real opportunities. You may promise to begin a project, a diet, or a conversation, yet deep inside you remain stuck and motionless. Because good intentions alone mean nothing if internally you feel small and powerless. Stoicism teaches that our worth is not found in others' approval or external achievements. It resides in our behavior and in what lies within our control. Marcus Aurelius made this clear. Your mind will become what you feed it through your thoughts. If you feed it insecurity, comparison, and harsh self-criticism, you will weaken yourself. But if you feed it responsibility, reflection, and conscious action, you will grow internally. And over time, this changes everything on the outside as well. Most people live trapped in inherited mental patterns. Harsh criticism in childhood, lack of encouragement, growing up where mistakes meant failure. They carry this invisible burden, feeling guilty for not being perfect, but nobody is. The difference between those who grow and those who remain stuck is not the mistake itself, but how the person responds to it. One example that exposes this is Amy Winehouse, a brilliant artist with a mind burdened by deep pain, low self-esteem, and constant self-destruction. She was not defeated by her talent, but by the distorted image she held of herself throughout her life. On the opposite side stands actor Terry Crews, symbolizing inner strength, transformation, and self-mastery despite abuse and fear. He broke the cycle, worked intensely on his mindset, learned to value himself, and turned pain into strength, becoming a model of balance and confidence. Scientific studies confirm that our self-image directly influences behavior, productivity, and emotional well-being. Research by the American Psychological Association shows that people with healthy self-esteem handle challenges better, recover faster, and make clearer decisions. It is not only about feeling good, it is about acting well even when emotions try to sabotage you. Changing your self-image requires daily practice, starting by noticing automatic thoughts. When the voice says, "I am stupid," "I am not good enough," or "I will fail," pause, breathe, and say, "This is just a thought, not a fact." Then act despite fear, because the only way to change your self-image is by gathering evidence that you are capable. This is not empty persuasion. It is internal proof you build over time. Stoicism teaches that true power comes from taking responsibility for what you can control: your mind, your choices, your conduct. When you deeply understand this, everything truly begins to change. You stop waiting for approval from others. You quit comparing yourself to those around you, and you start building inside the person you want to show on the outside. This is the greatest form of power, mastering yourself. Deep down, no one needs to grant you permission to be strong. That permission is already yours. What you must do is stop believing the old story your mind has told for so long. You are not your fear. You are not your failure. You are who you decide to become from this moment on. You can't control everything that happens around you, but you can control everything that happens inside you. That is the key. When you learn to manage your emotions, to respond instead of react, to stay calm even in chaos, you become unshakable. This is not poetry, it's practice, mental discipline, wisdom in action. Starting to apply this today is liberating. You stop being hostage to others' moods, daily news, criticism, fear, and anxiety. You become the author of your own story. The more you train this self-control, the more you grow inside, until nothing outside can shake you. If you've made it this far, it's time for the next step. Click the video appearing on the screen. Climb another rung in your Stoic wisdom journey. You will learn how to become 1% better than you are now. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being with me on this path. I'll see you in the next video.